Welcome back to Dixie Alley Weather Center. My name is Caleb Crick. Today is Thursday, October 16th, 2025, and I've got a lot of updates for you today, especially concerning our big low pressure system that will be moving through the area as we go throughout the next few days, starting in the plains tomorrow with some scattered severe weather in areas like Oklahoma and Kansas with some scattered damaging winds and hail, and then the threat moving off to the east as we go into the day on Saturday, likely causing the biggest day for severe weather in portions of the western Dixie Alley, including areas like Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee with some scattered damaging winds, large hail, and maybe a tornado or two. Luckily, this day isn't looking as significant as it was a couple of days ago, so let's hope that that stays the factor. Once again, storm mode is still uncertain with this system, but we will likely see some scattered, once again, damaging winds, large hail, and a brief tornado or two as we go into the day on Saturday and likely continuing to the day on Sunday with some scattered damaging winds and some large hail across portions of the central and eastern Dixie Alley as we go into the beginning of next week. I'll also be talking about the tropics and how we have another area to watch as we go down the road, not in the short term, but as this moves into the Caribbean, we could likely see it develop with those warm sea temperatures. Where it goes is still highly uncertain, with many of the models showing many different scenarios, but it is another area to watch as we are not out of hurricane season yet. We are coming to a close on it, but we are not done yet, and we still have many areas to track going into the coming weeks. All this and more included in this video, so let's get right into it. Here's a look at the view from satellite imagery right now of the Dixie Alley, and you can just tell by looking at this, it is a beautiful day for most of the Dixie Alley today. Most areas seeing the sun today, except for portions of central and southern Florida with some of those higher clouds. But that will likely change as we go into the weekend. We are going to see a big system move in from the west, bringing in some cooler air behind that. But what that's going to allow for is some severe weather across portions of the central and western Dixie Alley as we go into the day on Saturday. We will likely see the threat for some damaging winds, large hail, and possibly a tornado or two. Once again, the severity of this situation, once again, is still uncertain, especially since we don't know if there will still be, convection from from Friday still in place over the area, causing a sloppy mess. If more convection piles up in the morning and causes a sloppy mess, this won't be as severe of a system. But if this system can hold off a little bit and we can see more destabilization in front of this system, it could be a lot worse, more severity in this system. So we'll once again have to continue to watch this over the next few days to see what is going to be happening with this system as we go down the road. But regardless of the storm mode and how severe the system is going to be, we are going to see a lot of rainfall across much of the Dixie Alley, a lot of much needed rainfall, may I put that out there, especially for these areas in the west that haven't seen a lot of rain over the past couple of months. Some areas that are in seeing some severe drought conditions could see some relief with this system, but that could also lead to some flash flooding in some areas where we pick up 1 to 2 inches of rainfall in less than an hour. We could definitely see some flooding of some streets, just make sure you aren't driving through flooded roadways. But once again, after Saturday, the system will continue to move off to the west, causing some more storms and some more problems across parts of the East Coast. I don't expect it to be as severe as Saturday, but we could definitely still see some strong wind gusts and some large hail as we go into the day on Sunday and Monday as this moves off the coast. But even after that, we'll continue to see this weather pattern where we see many shots of cold air from the north and many of these low pressure systems that could lead to some severe weather in the future. Once again, as this system passes through, we will likely see some of the coolest temperatures we've seen in a long time, with many areas getting lows in the 40s, and some areas farther out to the north even getting some lows in the upper 30s. Once again, I'm not expecting our first frost of the season yet, but fall is coming, and it is coming quickly. And you can see on the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook by the Weather Prediction Center, most areas in the Dixie Alley are going to be around average, if not below average for this time of year as we go into the next couple of weeks. And you can see the farther you go out to the east, the more below average the temperatures will be. We will likely see lows in the 40s and 30s as we go into the next couple of weeks, and highs barely getting out of the 60s for some days. Most days we'll get in the lower 70s, but the farther you go out to the north, the cooler it's going to be. Areas like southern Florida is still going to remain above average, and then the farther you go out to the west, the heat will continue. But once again, I call it heat, but it's just just some slightly above average temperatures, maybe some temperatures upper 70s, low 80s for highs, and lows being in the low 60s to upper 50s. once again, it's still going to feel good regardless of where you are in the Dixie Alley as we go into the next couple of weeks because of the big systems that we're going to be seeing, the big change in the weather pattern, the big dips in the jet stream that we're going to continue to see over the next couple of weeks. That is going to lead to much below average temperatures for many areas in the Dixie Alley as we go into the near future. But before we see those cooler temperatures, we had to first get through the severe weather. And here's a look at what the Storm Prediction Center is seeing for the day on Saturday. This is the day 3 severe weather outlook by the Storm Prediction Center. You can see we have a large slight risk in place across many states, including Arkansas, Missouri, parts of Oklahoma, Texas, northern Louisiana, western Mississippi, western Tennessee, and up into Illinois for the risk for some damaging winds, large hail, and possibly an isolated tornado or two. This will be, once again, all dependent on what happens with Friday's round of showers and thunderstorms. If there's more convection, it will likely not be as severe, like I said earlier. But regardless, we are going to be seeing the threat for some damaging winds and some large hail, potentially a tornado or two, as we go into the day on Saturday. And that will even continue outside of the slight risk region, as we also have a marginal risk that extends even farther off to the east, including portions of Alabama, farther into portions of Mississippi and Tennessee for the risk of some damaging winds and some large hail as we go into the evening and even the overnight hours. And I do expect the severe weather threat to continue into the day on Sunday as well, where we could see a severe risk issued by the Storm Prediction Center for areas farther off to the east as we go into the day on Sunday, possibly a marginal or even another slight risk, as we will likely see a refiring in storms. Once again, that's too far out to know exactly what's going to happen, but we know that regardless, these areas are going to be seeing a lot of rainfall, and a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time will lead to some flash flooding. With that being said, here's a look at our Day 3 excessive rainfall outlook from the Weather Prediction Center, and you can see we already have a slight risk of flash flooding for portions, not including the Dixie Alley, but the farther you go out to the north and west, the more prolonged the periods of heavy rainfall will be. But regardless, we will see some level of heavy rainfall and potential flash flooding, as we already have a marginal risk extending down into parts of the western Dixie Alley and portions of Tennessee, Mississippi, northern Louisiana, and northern Alabama for the risk for some, heavy prolonged periods of rainfall that will lead to some ponding on the roadways. I'm not expecting it to be significant, but some areas that do see 1 to 2 inches in less than an hour will have the opportunity to see some specifically road flooding. Once again, don't be driving through flooded roadways, but the main risk isn't going to be in the flash flooding. Like I said, it's going to be in the severe weather, but most of this is just going to be much needed rainfall to some areas that are experiencing some heavy drought from the past couple of weeks. And just to put this into perspective, here, let's take a look at the future radar to see exactly what these storms could look like and where the most impacts are going to be felt with this system. You can see this is as we go into the day on Friday. You can see already some strong to severe storms will be forming into a line along the Oklahoma and Arkansas and Missouri borders, where we could already see some heavy rainfall and flash flooding and even some possible isolated severe weather ongoing in the early morning hours on Saturday. That will likely continue to move off to the east as we go into the day on Saturday. Now, the European model is showing more convection, which would be the better scenario, which would allow for less destabilization and more of a sloppy mess, which is what we want to see. We don't want to see severe weather. We want to see more just much-needed rainfall to these areas that need to see rainfall so badly. But regardless, we will see some strong, potent storms, some frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, some very heavy rainfall with these storms regardless. So make sure that you are taking necessary precautions and multiple ways to receive warnings, because there still will be the risk for some isolated severe weather, just not as widespread. And then as we go into the evening and overnight hours, late overnight, we will likely see this continue to move off to the east and continue to cause some problems. Not likely to be as severe, but we will likely see some heavy rainfall and flash flooding, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning continue as we go into the evening overnight hours and into the day on Sunday, where we will likely see this continue to move off to the east. We will likely see a refiring of some of those strong to severe storms as air destabilizes ahead of these systems and ahead of this system. And as we see the daylight, we will daytime heating. We will likely see some level of refiring of some strong to severe storms. I don't expect them to be as severe, and I don't really expect the tornado threat to be as high. Just mainly a squall line of damaging wind gusts will be the main, driving factor behind this system as it moves farther off to the east, and then eventually off the coast. The main thing I'm expecting, the main at least good thing out of this is going to be the much needed rainfall to areas that haven't seen rainfall in a long time, and also the much cooler temperatures that will bring relief to some of those above average temperatures we've been seeing over the last few days. And going farther into the future, we do expect this active weather pattern to continue with multiple shots of big low pressure systems. You can see after this big storm system moves through, we will likely see many big storm systems continue to push over the Rockies and cause some problems throughout the plains and even into portions of the Ohio Valley and into the southeast going into the coming days. I do not see a break in these low pressure systems. You can just keep as I play this forward in the GFS mod, you can just keep seeing these big spinning low pressure system causing some more heavy rainfall, cooler air to usher in until some of us are seeing our first frost here across the Dixie Alley, especially the northern parts of the Dixie Alley. Eventually, as we get deeper into October, we will see some areas seeing their first frost and potentially even their first snowfall by the time we get into the end of November and into December. It's hard to believe that summer's already over and we're already starting to get into our second severe weather season. Once again, with these big low pressure systems, we will continue to see the threat for some severe weather as we go down the road. So make sure that you continue to stay updated with that. Many areas in the southeast will continue to see many rounds of showers and thunderstorms as we go into the next few weeks, into the next month or so. I do believe we are going to continue to stay in a very active weather pattern. And along with all that severe weather we have to continue to track, we also got to continue to keep our eyes on the tropics. Now, I know we are starting to come to the end of our hurricane season, but we aren't at the end yet, and those water temperatures are still so very warm that we have to continue to watch as we have another area of low pressure that will continue to move off to the west and eventually move into the very warm waters of the Caribbean and eventually try to develop potentially as we go into the middle and end of next week. Where we go from there is still very uncertain. Once again, like I've told you many times on this channel, it is very hard to predict the tropics even a few days out, let alone a couple of weeks out. This is going to be a very hard system to forecast. Once again, it is pretty rare still that this moves into the Gulf and into the United States, mainly because of all these big low pressure systems that we're going to continue to see move through. They're going to try to pull this system away from the United States, which is really good. But unfortunately, many of these islands in the Caribbean still have to continue to watch for the potential and threats of this system as it moves into these very warm waters and potentially spins into something that we have to watch going forward. And once again, with that being said, that is all the weather info I've got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click the like button and subscribe for more video updates like this one. I'll try to keep you posted on this severe weather event as it unfolds, as we go into the next couple of days, as we gain more information about the setup and how severe this system really will be. I don't expect, once again, a big severe weather outbreak, but we could definitely see some scattered severe weather across some of these areas that we definitely have to be aware for going down the road. We'll also continue to keep you posted on the tropics as we go forward. Once again, as we are coming to a close on our hurricane season, we still have areas to watch going forward, especially as this system moves into the Caribbean and continue to watch those islands as the system possibly spins up into something we need to watch going forward. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into today's video, and I will see you in the next one.